Hello, happy Tuesday. This is a little bit of a weird one today because I'm in the Phoenix airport and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So I still am doing the live today, but I'll be a little more subdued so that I don't disturb all of the folks around me. So today's topic, we're talking books and authors, and I'm going to keep it really short, partly because I am sitting in an airport lounge waiting to board, but also this is a big topic, and so I think we'll probably end up doing a deep dive training on it in the coming months because it'll be a really, really great topic to kind of go deeper on. But today I'm going to give you just a few quick nuggets because I'm sure the noise is going to drive some of you crazy. I know it'll drive me crazy. And but we'll also do the prizes. So I've got the prizes for you for whoever has commented the day a video is released. Of course, you get entered to win some of our fabulous swag, like our oh so soft journal. Hello. She said, are people staring and trying to listen? Sort of, yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's a little awkward. Okay. So I've got the prizes. Of course, there'll be prizes for participation. So thank you, Professor E.A. Burlingame. Hello, Bill, as always. And Angela's here too. So thank you. I'm just on my way back to Las Vegas from Phoenix, where I've been at a leadership summit, which, funny enough, given the topic, I didn't even know what I was doing here when I set the topic for this being books and speakers. But for the last day and a half, I've been going through training because I'm taking on a new role within the Entrepreneurs Organization, where I'm going to be learning chair. And so I'll be booking speakers for various events, and it's really exciting because I'm getting to see an entirely different side of the business, because I've always been the one going on stage, not the one booking the people to speak. For the most part, I've done some events, but usually I brought in friends or colleagues that I knew. I didn't like negotiate and reach out to speakers and kind of look through what's working. And so it's really cool because I'm a part of this group that they're trading like what worked in the speaker and what they're looking for and the gaps they're looking for and the some of the topics that people are looking for speakers on, not surprisingly. AI for small business and biohacking. Those were two subjects that people were like, okay, who's the Dave Asprey that we can afford? Right? So who's the new voice that's like Dave Asprey talking about biohacking? So that was some of the really cool stuff I got to be a part of the last day and a half. And that's why I'm in this noisy airport. So please forgive me. But yeah, so what I figured we'd cover today really, just to keep it short and sweet, is as you're thinking about your book, if you want to speak, and this is whether you want to be paid or you're using your speaking to promote the book or to grow your brand or to grow your business, it's kind of thinking about the 3 different talks that you can create from your book and what's a good fit and what isn't. So that's what we'll kind of dive into today. And I see Hope's here. Hello. And Hope, we're going to definitely do a deep dive on this. So hopefully you're getting, you've got our newsletter, you're getting it every 2 weeks, because today I'm not going to be able to go as deep on this subject just because I don't know how clear the sound is for you. And as Professor E.A. Burlingame already noted, it's a little awkward for me. I'm not saying for you, but Sloth Dreams Books and Publishing. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome. So glad to have you here. Okay, so where did I go with that? Oh yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive on this again. We've talked about this topic before, but we'll definitely be doing another one in the coming months. So hopefully you are getting the newsletter. If you aren't, you can just go booklaunchers.com/newsletter, get yourself signed up for that, and so that you won't miss another deep dive. So Angela is here. She can drop that link in the chat for you. Okay, so I think actually we'll start with a prize, and then I'll do the 3 points to make sure that we get those nuggets delivered to you today before I leave with sheer embarrassment. Okay, I'm not that embarrassed, but okay. And I'm just looking, hope I'm getting it. Awesome, thank you. And so first prize, let's do, what is the date today? 21. I don't know if we've had 21 comments yet. So if you haven't commented, do it now, because I'm going to say the 21st person to say hello today is going to be our first prize winner. And while that's happening, Angela will let us know when we hit number 21. And then we will, Jupiter Video Vision 99. Hello, Forewarned Passports. Oh, I like that channel name. What a good name. It just makes you want to know, where in the world have you been? How have you explored? So that's very cool. Okay, so the three types of talks. There's the keynote, which is, the main stage. This is the one that generally gets paid the most, or in some events, it's the only one that is getting paid. Then there is the breakout speaker. There's also panels, but I'm actually not really going to spend time on panels because you're not necessarily crafting a talk for a panel. You're going to have a moderator, you're going to get asked questions. You can certainly get put on panels as an author, but that's not really a talk per se. And then the other thing is a workshop. Those are, like, if I'm putting them in three different kinds of buckets for talks that you might get paid for or that you might do to promote your book. And I hope that you've booked your first engagement, so that's fantastic. We have, there's lots of ideas for leveraging those things, those engagements, for selling your book, for growing your brand, for growing your platform. And so there is a video, I think it's on doing live events. It might even be on leveraging speaking engagements. Angela, if she has a minute, she can kind of search around and see if she can find those two videos that will also help you. But the keynote is the one that a lot of people think they want. And it kind of has the prestige. The thing with the keynote to know is that most of the time the keynote is a known name, unless you happen to have like a really phenomenal story, like you're an astronaut or you just won a Nobel Peace Prize, or I'm trying to think, but and it depends on the size of event too. In a smaller, more niche event, like in real estate, I used to be the keynote speaker at a certain point in my career in Canada. I was the keynote speaker for a couple of main events. But I was a known name in a small niche. And so when they had an event of 400 or 600 people, it made sense, I guess, to them to have me as their keynote speaker. But generally speaking, for a lot of these larger events, unless it's really niche and you're an expert and you're a known name in your niche, especially early on in your speaking career, you're not going to be the keynote speaker. But what they're looking for in a keynote speaker is somebody who's going to offer some sort of transformation. So you're giving them a new way of looking at an old problem, or you're sharing a really compelling story that offers some sort of an emotional feeling, that offers some sort of transformation. Again, it's a big idea. Those are some of the ways of kind of thinking about the keynote spot. And a lot of us in nonfiction, we've written a really tactical how-to book, which means that you're probably not going to be the keynote. And that is okay. Because the one thing I always tell myself, because I am, I used to do keynotes, but I'm really now, as a publishing expert, I'm a breakout session, I'm a workshop. And that's okay, because the people who come to that session, they've chosen to be there. The keynote is for everyone. Some people care, some people don't. And it can be great. And again, I think it's a great path for some people. But for a lot of us that are doing this for thought leadership, growing a business, selling books, the breakout or the workshop actually offer us maybe not a good paycheck. So often you're doing them for free. Sometimes you'll get paid a smaller amount than that keynote. So if your goal is to be a paid professional speaker, you're probably seeking those keynote stages at least some of the time. Although the stat that Sarah Bean, our book marketing manager, shared in our client-only training last week was that I think it was less than 60%, or no, 60% of authors are making most of their income not from speaking, or maybe it was the other way, only 60% are making it. I'll have to look. I'll look up that stat. Hold on one moment. I'm going to pull up her slide. And let me just tell you right here, it was around 60%. Oh, here it is. Around 60% of the speaker's actual income comes from non-speaking activities. There's a very enthusiastic child next to me, but they're leaving. So around 60% of the speaker's actual income comes from non-speaking activities. So selling books, other materials, webinars, coaching, and consulting. So speaking can lead to bigger, more lucrative opportunities. And so when you're thinking about these events and you're thinking about, like, am I a keynote speaker? Am I a workshop? Am I a breakout? You're looking for conferences, conventions, fairs, associations, like the Entrepreneurs Organization, which is what I've just been at. It's a nonprofit for businesses that are 7 figures or more. They hire speakers. Every chapter hires speakers, and then they have regional events and national events and global events, all hiring speakers. Some are from within, but many are not. Member groups, corporate groups, libraries. I mean, there's lots of places that are looking for content, looking for speakers. And so, kind of understanding these things and starting with the small and working your way up. Okay. Oh, Lakeisha, hello. I'm glad you love your journal. I think you're right, Professor EA. That kid wants to be a speaker, definitely has a voice that wants to be heard. And yeah, I mean, some people have just commented that they prefer to go to the breakouts and the workshops and miss the keynote. And I'm often the same way now too, because I find the keynote, and I don't want to say it's fluff because it's not, but I find that I'm there for that tactical, like give me the step-by-step or the information that I need to go execute to get to a result. I don't necessarily need the inspiration or the motivation or the emotional kind of feeling that is, that's not what I'm there for most of the time. So thank you for saying that, because I totally agree. So when you're looking at your book, this is also something I always talk about when I'm talking about your chapter titles, is consider, when you're thinking about what could be a great breakout session, look at your chapters. And if you've done a good job of creating chapters with outcomes, you could have great breakout talks within those chapters already. Now, one thing I heard this past week, and I will not name drop who they talked about, but it was a rather famous name. He was paid a lot of money to give a talk, and his talk was word for word the audible, like the comment was that I could have paid $15 and streamed the audio version of his book. So while you will use your book perhaps as a template for your workshop or a template for your breakout, I really encourage you to bring your flair and your personality, and don't deliver it word for word. Because the people that are fans, that have read your book, that are excited to see you speak, they're not there to have you tell them exactly what's in your book. Definitely share the best content from your book, use that structure, but tell some stories that they're not expecting, and bring your own examples into it, so that they don't feel like this booker did this past, that told me yesterday that, he felt really ripped off because I think he paid $25,000 for this speaker, and literally got word for word a section out of his book. And so he was pretty miffed about that. He said a lot of people in the audience thought it was great, but he said, me as the booker, I felt ashamed that this is what I had put my organization's money towards this. So just a little inside tip that I got for you there. But a breakout is going to go deeper into a tactical item. So for me, I could be giving a tactical thing on chapter titles. Like it could be, okay, this is how to make your table of contents your salesperson for your book. And I could have a 30-minute breakout session on how to create curiosity, what makes a great chapter title, how to deliver value, how each chapter title could be the title of a talk, how it could be an article. Those are some of the things that I talk about with regards to chapter titles. And that would be a really strong breakout session for certain events. I spoke at the ALA conference, and they asked me to do a workshop on working with self-published authors and helping their patrons, navigate the world of publishing. And so I did a 90-minute workshop where I explained the differences between hybrid, traditional, and self-publishing. And then I explained, what resources a self-publishing author needs. And I guided them through how they can strike up partnerships and what the opportunities are for working with authors in their local community. And that session went really, really well. Things I would change for the future for sure. And some of the feedback I got was really valuable. I learned a lot about what they're looking for, but it was interactive. So I would say the main difference between a workshop and a breakout's usually anywhere from 20 to sometimes 50 minutes, versus a workshop is usually longer, but more interactive. Like we had small group exercises. We had, raise your hands and share, and we had them work on some sheets and things like that. So a workshop, usually is an hour to 3 hours, and it goes deeper into things, but it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do a lot more work, because you're going to instead facilitate people working through some of the material to get to the outcome. But again, looking at your book, looking at a chapter, going, okay, what's an outcome? Hopefully every chapter has their own outcome of an outcome, their own hook. And then you can kind of start to figure out, okay, what could be my workshop? What could be my breakout? What events are out there where I'm offering the outcome of an outcome that's in alignment with what their audience needs? And those can be three things that come from your book, because you probably have a keynote element to your book as well. But really, almost all nonfiction books, they most certainly have a breakout element or a workshop element that can be a really powerful way for small groups, large groups. There's lots of places that are looking for content that you probably can deliver. You've already done the hard work of thinking about it, and it's there in your book, and you just kind of have to craft it. So let me go here and see. There we go. Professor E.A. Burlingame, you win. You were the 21st comment, so congratulations. I believe we have journals, mugs, and of course, a copy of Self-Publish and Succeed. I don't know if we have any other swag left, so Angela, just contact Angela. She gave you instructions at our team at booklaunchers.com to get that sorted out. Okay, and with that in mind, I'm going to share. I did the draw before. Next live, I am going to, actually the next live, I'm going to have to see if somebody on my team will do the live, because I'm going to be at another training event. Next couple of weeks are a little hairy. Next week is one kind of a marketing training. And then the week after, I'm doing an AI training. And then after that, I'll be settled a little bit and we'll be doing it, but I'm going to have to see Angela, just a note. So the next live, I need somebody to jump in and do the live. So we'll have to figure out, now that we know the team can do it, we can get somebody to jump in. So if you have a request for a topic for somebody on my team to do the next live, go ahead and post it, because, telling them that they have been requested or that their topic, their area of expertise is what you're looking for, might be just the nudge we need to get them out of their shell and to join you. Okay, so my 2 prize winners today for commenting. So every Tuesday and Friday, a new video comes out. When you comment the day a video is released, you get entered to win some of our fabulous swag. And Nick Gonzalez, you are winner number 1. Congratulations. So email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com to collect your prize. And Jupiter Video Vision 99. I saw you here. I don't know if you're still here, but congratulations. You were my other video commenting winner. So email Angela with whatever you would like as your prize. And of course, you also have to include your mailing address, because she does not know. She is really, really talented, but she does not know where you live. So you'll have to tell her that. Yes, I'm subliminal voluntelling, so I need your help. So we've got book awards as one. Ooh, cool. We just had a bunch of our authors win a really great book award this past couple weeks ago. Reader Views, it was in our newsletter, so I won't rehash it, but it was pretty exciting to have somebody place bronze in all nonfiction. Yeah. And then she took number 1 in the business category too. And then we had some other authors placing in their categories. So that was pretty exciting. Okay. So do you guys have questions about speaking? That's all I'm going to talk about, is those kind of 3 talks, get you thinking about it. And then we'll plan a deep dive coming up. I can't remember what our upcoming topics are, but we'll plan a deep dive to go deeper into this subject real soon, so we can really go deeper into this. Let's see. So if you guys have questions, I'm just looking. Lakeisha was just reiterating that nobody wants to hear word for word what they already read. And it was also interesting. I might have talked about this before, but some of the things I heard from the librarians, which can be a place where, if you're an unknown author, the library can be a great place to do a smaller event. And they were saying that the last thing they want is for somebody to come in and read their book. They're like, tell us about the process, or tell us about the journey, or, share some things that didn't make it into the book. Those were some of the things that they said, that, a lot of people go to a library and do a book reading. It's like the common thing. But a lot of the librarians were like, no, nobody wants to hear you read from your book. They want to hear other things. They want to hear the stuff that you didn't put in the book, and why. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Hey, Mike, welcome. Okay, so question 1, Sloth Dreams, book and publishing. Where do you go to find these gigs? So I mean, that's a great question. Some of them will find you, but you don't want to rely on that. And I've often given the example from my book, The New Brand You, how a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, but a handful of gigs came to me because I had a chapter titled "You Are Who Google Says You Are." And people said, come do this talk. Like, people need to hear this message. So that chapter title sold the book, really, because the title didn't. But the chapter really was the biggest piece of my marketing. It led to almost all of the buzz that happened around that book. So sometimes if you have something really compelling, it can find you. Other times you're completing, you're searching for your area. You're looking for, if you're new, I recommend you find meetup groups or small business associations or other associations relevant to your topic, and find out if they have monthly meetings with speakers, and just, go to one, do a little research, talk to the event coordinator, see what they're looking for. And, Angela did post a video on how to get these engagements, but start small. If you're good, if you do a great job, if you make the event booker's job easy, you'll get referrals and it will grow from there. So I think it's a combination in the beginning of, just getting out there, finding the events that do have speakers, finding the gaps, seeing what they're looking for, and being that person that can fill in a gap. Also being ready to go on stage at last minute. I had this happen at, I don't remember which event. I don't know if it was FinCon or Podfest or Podcast Movement, something recently that I was at. Not that recent, but there was one of the speakers didn't show, and it was a topic about books. It was a topic about creating great content from your book, I think was the topic. And somebody came and they said, the speaker didn't show. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I went on. I didn't have a prepared presentation, obviously, but I have a lot of content. I can give a talk that's decent at short notice like that. If I had had even half a day to prepare, I could have done even better. But being ready, because those things do come up last minute. And if you can be somebody can rely on, you can get gigs over time. So I guess the answer is there's not one way to get it. As you get more known and you do more gigs, you may want a speaker's agent, you may want representation. But if you do a good job as a speaker, people will find you, because, if I learned anything these last day and a half, is that everybody wants the speaker that is going to deliver value and create the event that gets the, 9 out of 10 rating or better. And interestingly, some of the big names definitely had that, but I would say more and more around the room that I was in, and some of them have had, major celebrities like, Jesse Itzler, Gary Vaynerchuk, David Spade. They've booked, big names. And they said, interestingly, a lot of times the event that gets the 9.8 out of 10 rating is actually the speaker that was unexpected. So the one, they didn't know the name, they didn't know the story, but they delivered a really powerful story with some tactical stuff that they can take to their business right away and use. So, it's okay if you're not a known name, but you do have to be an amazing speaker and get referrals. And that's how you'll get those kind of gigs. But library gigs, local association gigs, which I've done a lot of in my day as a real estate investor and when I wrote my first book, More Than Cash Flow, those are a lot easier to come by. And sometimes it's just, checking out what they've done in the past and seeing where you can fill in a little gap of a topic. If you speak on something that's trending, or that every person in that group has this problem that you can offer a solution to, and you offer a slightly new lens on it, you'll get gigs. Let's see, next question. Are most speakings live or virtual? I don't even like doing virtual talks anymore, but a lot of summits are done virtually. They're usually lead generation things. But the gigs that are going to help you sell books, that are going to get you referrals, that are going to grow your business, that are going to get you leads, those are in person. And the more you do of those, the more you'll find your whole business around your book grows, because you can sell books at the back of the room. You can negotiate them as part of your speaker's fee. You can, there's just so much more you can do. You can have an opt-in for people to opt in. I have found virtual speaking I won't say pointless, but it doesn't have the same impact on your business that live speaking does. Okay, I'm just seeing if there's any other questions. I think, here's Sloth Dreams. I see it, Angela. How do you go about reaching out to entities? I think we'll cover that more in detail in a future event or a future kind of training. But the short answer is do research. One of the ways in the early days that I landed a lot of my engagements was, like I said, I would go to the events. I had been to the events and I could say, okay, like this person talked about this and people liked it, but what was missing was this, and I can bring that to the table. I also was creating a lot of content, and people started to know my name, and so some gigs came to me. And then I also would search, okay, conferences or speaker, what do you call it? Speaker request forms, speaker submission forms. I would just Google. I would ask ChatGPT to do some research now, find anybody that's looking for conferences. You're going to be probably submitting for conferences that are either end of this year or 2024, because most people are booking at least 6 months out. And so you submit speaker forms, but do research before you do that. Make sure that you create a talk title that is going to draw people in. It has to be something interesting, something that sells a benefit. You want to have like how to save $100,000 on your taxes in the next 5 years, right? Like give them a reason to go sit in that room, and that will give the event speaker, as they're pouring through 200 forms, a reason to pause on yours. And then they'll look at that, and they'll look at your credentials, and they'll look at your summary, and then they'll say, okay, maybe. They'll also want a speaker's reel. If they haven't seen you speak, if you haven't been referred, if you are doing anything more than a breakout panel, or if their event isn't a small association, they're going to want some sort of a speaker's reel. I don't actually have a good one right now, and I've missed a couple opportunities because I was pursuing a couple places where I didn't have a referral. I have recommendation letters, but some people won't go off of a recommendation letter. They need to see that speaker's reel or have you be referred by somebody that they trust that has seen you speak. But yes, there's a lot, sending a short email can help. But I would say getting to know the people who are booking these events, getting in front of a few of them, doing a few talks, and being awesome to work with. And then it will start to grow from there. That's the short answer to a really long, intense question, because it's a big, big subject. There is a great book that I read called The Referable, I think it is, Speaker. I think it's by Michael Port, who runs Heroic Public Speaking, and Michael and his wife Amy run that. And it's a really great book for just understanding what makes a talk great and what they're looking for. And it was fun when I was reading it because Michael Brenner, who worked with us on his book, Mean People Suck, he was in there as an example. So that was fun to see him and one of our authors as an example inside of a book I was reading. I did a 20-minute slot as a panel speaker at the London Stock Exchange, only my second talk. It was terrifying. That's awesome to hear, though. Not that it was terrifying that you did it. And panels are a good way to get started. I think they can give you exposure. If you talk to the moderators and the other panelists, you can ask them if they're speaking at other places, and that can give you leads. They may know other people that can connect to. That can be a really great way to kind of expand from there. I don't love being on a panel as far as like an investment in my time for going somewhere and traveling. If I'm being paid to be on the panel, that's one thing, but a lot of times they won't pay you to be on the panel. And I don't find it like it's good if you leverage it as far as getting to know your other panelists, getting to know the moderator, but it's not generally, people won't even remember your name. And you don't usually get the opportunity to put books at the back of the room or negotiate a booth or anything like that at an event. So it's a good starting place. And I think if you're smart about starting with panels, you can go a long ways. And some events will allow you to have a book table at the back of the room or have a booth or have some other way of connecting with the audience. But many of them don't. So that doesn't mean say no. I mean, the more you say yes in this world, the better off you are in the beginning, because you really want to just get as many exposure points as you can and see what's working. I mean, I always tell people to think about a stand-up comedian. They don't go on their Netflix show without having been in front of 20, 30, 40 audiences, if not more, and tested it. So they know what's funny, right? It's not a guess, that they know. And so it's the same thing. You want to get out there and get in front of people and see what people are reacting to, see what's resonating with them. And then, continue to, let people know that you want to speak, and those opportunities will start to come up. Okay, I think that's all. I think that's it. So we need one more prize. Let's see. Your best speaking tip doesn't have to be anything I shared today. You may have your own. So what's your best tip for books and speakers, right? Books and speakers. How does that go together? Let's get one of those tips, and then we'll wrap up so that I can stop talking in the airport. I'm giving a 20-minute panel discussion in early June. What should I know about maximizing the opportunity? So if you are allowed to, it depends on the organization where you're speaking. If you're allowed to put information on the seats so people have something to take home, if you are allowed to get a book table at the back, or if you're allowed to give away a copy of your book or several copies of your book to the audience, those are all things that can help you be more memorable. The challenge with panels is that it's not easy to remember who was on the panel. So you have to really stand out in order to be memorable. It's like people will think a panel was great as far as getting the information, but for you as the speaker, a panel, the people can blend together in some ways. So it can be harder to stand out. So, you've already agreed to it, but usually I would negotiate these things before I agree to the panel. But again, if this is a first-time opportunity, or like Mike, your second, what I would do in the moment is focus on meeting and connecting with the other panelists and even the moderator of your panel, because all of those folks have been chosen to be up there for their expertise. They, if it's all on a similar topic, you probably have some overlap in the audiences you're talking to. So there could be some synergies, some ways to promote and grow, support each other, and build relationships that can be valuable over the long term there. Bill said, I offer 10 signed copies of my book for those who see me outside the room after a panel. Yes, excellent. Mike, one sentence, looking at only one person. Yes. Next sentence, look at another person. Great speaking tip. So, look at that person right there and be like, okay, say that sentence, and then next person. And of course, breathe and slow down. Yes, for sure. All that. Professor Yay Burlingame, love that. A flyer on the seat. And Sloth Dreams, Books and Publishing. I love that. I started with book 1 in January 2022, and I have written more than 100 books. Wow, you're amazing. I don't even know how you did that in a year and a half. Congratulations. And Patrie Despros, find out as much about your audience as possible. You're there for them, not the other way around. Yes, absolutely, Patrice. Yes, thank you. All right, let's see. Let's go. Did Sloth Dreams already win? I don't think you did, right? No. Okay, Sloth Dreams and Publishing. I'm just going to give you a prize because that's a pretty awesome story. And I'm glad that you're here today. So Angela, team@booklaunchers.com, connect with Angela. She'll give you a copy of Self-Publish and Succeed, our OSO Soft Journal, or our hashtag No Boring Books mug. So that's it for today from Phoenix. In 2 weeks, we'll get somebody from my team to do a talk, maybe on book awards. We'll see. If anybody has any other ideas for what you would like a topic on, just post it in the comments when you're watching this, and that will help us get the right person from my team to chat with you on that. And after that, I'll most definitely do another session on AI, because I'll be coming off of an AI training. But, I'm always open for suggestions and ideas for other topics that you want me to cover too. Okay, awesome. Have an amazing day. And next time I'll chat with you. I'll be in my office, so not in Phoenix and the airport. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.